Welcome to the Susan Brender Show. It's all about you, featuring shows on health and wellness, the performing arts, politics, and people who inspire you to be your very best. And now, here's Susan Brender.
Are you a business owner tired of paying exorbitant credit card fees? Call now to get an evaluation. If we cannot beat your current prices, you receive a $250 credit card. Call 818-583-7328 for more information. I'm Susan Brender, and this is the Susan Brender Show. And today, my co-host is Rosalind Kahn. Now, I am so excited to have her as a co-host today because she's an amazing person. She's a professor, and she says all the time she masters the message with passion and purpose. Also, she's been on TED Talks, which is Breaking Cultural Barriers. Rosalind's newest book is called Dogs and Roses, and I want to welcome to my show my co-host, Rosalind Kahn. Hi, Rosalind.
How you doing? It's a bright, beautiful day here today. A few clouds, but it's always bright when I'm talking to you, sweetie.
Yeah, that's a very sweet thing to say. I'm so glad, Rosalind, that you're the co-host today. And I would like you to introduce your guest, Afi, and tell us a little bit about Afi, if you will.
Okay, first off, Afi and I met several years ago, and from the moment I met this lady, I was in shock and amazement. Afi is a woman who's an author, a spokesman of the Epilepsy Foundation. She's an inspiring speaker. She's had over 14 years of experience giving presentations for her brand Spiritual Coffee, Overcoming and Energizes and Passes Love. She's affiliated with the Epilepsy Foundation, the Village Health Foundation, the PAC Red, and TRN TV. She understands that an informed community is a strong community. She's focused on keeping people informed with good resources, with over 18 years of personal epilepsy experiences and testimonies to back that up. This is a lady who suffered from epilepsy and didn't take it as a reason to feel sorry for herself, but it really empowered her to guide other people into her greatness. And I'm so excited to have her on the show with us today.
Yeah, I want to welcome her to our show as well. And Afi Bell, tell us a little bit about you had epilepsy in your life, and that is not an easy thing to deal with, is it?
Not very, but I mean, you get used to it. It depends on the wide range, because that's one thing I'm really wanting to get the country to be aware of, that there are 40 types of seizures. And the seizure that I have is not the one that most people have ever seen. Most people think that the only seizure is grand mal, where people fall and shake, where I've never done that once. The seizure I have is called complex partial, which is simply a sleepwalk. I'll walk around and my eyes are wide open and I have no clue of what's going on. And that's been interesting, but I never fell down once.
An amazing thing. You know, you hear about people sleepwalking, but you've actually experienced it, and it's very weird, though.
It's different. That's why more people have gotten scared off, and I cannot believe it's like, what? When I come back to my consciousness, people do want to help me. They're handing me my purse and my phone. Are you okay? I thought you were high. What's going on?
How old were you when this first happened?
I was, 18 years old, freshman year of college. But, yeah, well, I want to say 19, because freshman year I was just feeling deja vu. My family takes me to the doctor, and he's saying, oh, no, that's really a seizure. I was like, what? I'm not upset. I just wanted to figure out what deja vu was. He hands me medicine, and that's when I start doing the sleepwalk. I feel like it's 19.
Rosalind, you know, it's a very interesting thing that she's talking about, because you don't hear a lot of people speak about this sort of thing. You know, you hear them talking about all kinds of health issues, but epilepsy, rather, where you sleepwalk. What do you think about that?
I mean, it's just fascinating. It's like, as we find when we learn about science, there's more that we don't know than we actually do know. And that, to me, what's really most intriguing about it. And now you said that you began with the medicine. Have these seizures dropped off, or have they increased? And do they know what makes them happen and why it took 18 years of your life to go ahead and take place?
That's the whole point. No, medicine has never helped me one time. It has worsened it because I was only feeling deja vu. Has no medicine. Oh, try the Tegretol. Try the phenobarbital. Let's increase. Put you on Keppra. I've done all this, but now my body is hooked on the medicine, so I can't just stop it. And they want to do a final surgery. Where they've done 2 surgeries already. They want to do an EEG to see the brain tissue and figure out why. They haven't been able to figure it out yet.
How has it affected your brain? I'm curious about that, Afi, because obviously people who have epilepsy seem to deal with all kinds of issues with their brain. Has it slowed down your thinking? Has it what has it caused you to suffer from?
Well, that's the whole thing. It inspired me to research my brain, and I see how your brain is very strong. So do not say anything negative, because I have learned how strong my brain is, and I have grown tremendously. I'm not a baby, and I'm not about to sit here and get, I just happened. I just simply got stronger from this. And now although the memory might have gotten a little slow at one point, I simply started speaking out loud that, I have strong memory. I have strong memory. And that's why my memory has increased and gotten stronger. So I disregard when you fall down. I have gotten back up, and I see how you have the challenge, but you can start speaking out loud, and it stays in your subconscious mind and tells you, hey, so don't hold on. Because other folks have gotten into the habit, I have slow memory. I feel irritated. I'm feeling tired. The more that you say those basic words, the more that you stay tired, irritated with slow memory. No, I feel great, and I have gotten stronger. I have gained tremendously. As they said, 90% of the people in the world use 10% of their brain. I am now using 20% of my brain as I see how much more you have when you speak it into existence and walk around using it.
Wow. Yeah, as a professor, have you ever seen people like Afi? And if so, what would you say to them if you were trying to find out more about their issues? And to the people who, as Afi said, they don't understand, and so maybe they think that she's got a real problem. What would you say to that?
Well, I think the important thing is when we have things that happen to us in our life that are difficulties and challenges, or anyone who has something that's different than everyone else, it can be a point that makes us stronger. You go ahead and you talk about Sylvia Plath in the book that she wrote on depression and how that really empowered people. You look at Martin Luther King and what he experienced in his family and how that went on to greatness. I just had a student in my class who had a speech, and I wanted him to give it because it was talking about taking his own life. And to see him standing there on stage and found out that, through music, through going ahead and singing, he had a reason to go ahead and live. And so I'd say, the secret of what this is everyone is given a gift in this world, and it's to let other people know that they're okay and to embolden and empower people. And I think that's exactly what Afi is doing. And that's what I tell the person who's suffering that, is to let people know you've survived, how you made it, how you've overcome it.
Right. That's interesting. Afi, when you hear Professor Khan talk about how she inspires people by discussing overcoming and empowering themselves, what does that kind of elicit in your mind?
It keeps me energized and excited as it confirms exactly what was been on my heart. Because it's like, what? Why is this happening to me? And the spirit, my favorite analogy that she connected with me with was the butterfly. How the butterfly didn't start that way. It was a caterpillar that broke out the cocoon and became a butterfly. And I walk around with that wonderful understanding in my heart because I'm showing off I'm the butterfly. And more people simply need to be aware that they are all having a huge challenge. And if they are just going to break out of the cocoon, they can show off how they didn't let this hold them down. It's incredible.
Wow.
Amazing.
I love it.
Rosalind, you talked about music, and you talked about it from the standpoint of probably it affects people in ways that you can't even describe. It's like music and music therapy, as well as dance therapy, as well as painting therapy, all of the art therapy. Is this important for everybody to embrace? Because, we have such a society that is always focused on things that are, not necessarily important. And happiness is another word that I want to know a little bit of what you think about that.
Right. Well, when you think about, the arts and the different things, everybody has different brains and different capacities and so on and so forth. But I think it's really amazing when you take people out of their area of their comfort and you put them into something that's entirely totally different. Let's take a computer person or a science person, and you expose them. I have seen in my class when, particularly, I work with students who are from, let's just call it the sciences, and they're used to computer applications. They have an easier time in processing what we're talking about and going ahead and speaking as a form of entertainment. It's a form of theater. It really brings people out of their shell, and it gives people a chance to express them in new and different ways. And I think if we look at a person as an onion and we go ahead and peel them away, we might start off in one particular way, but as we unwrap another one, that's another part of who we are. And I think everyone has talents beyond what they see in the here and the now. It's just opening yourself up to the possibility. And when you open yourself up to the possibility, it's amazing, because if we find out who we truly are, then we are truly happy. And happiness for one person might be completely, entirely different for another person. I go outside and I look at those flowers, or I look at those roses. I was at a big screening event the other day for an improv with Shini Mattel, who's a host on LA Talk Radio. And here I was at this event, and I should be going around talking to this person and that person, but I'm pulling out my camera and I'm looking at my pictures, because I love pictures. And, it's I do more than just stand up and speak. I do more than get up and teach.
Wow. You have a question for your guest?
Well, Afi, I wanted to know what was it that inspired you from the very beginning when you began on that track many years ago to do what you're doing right here now?
To pass the message?
Mm-hmm.
Is that the question? What inspired you?
What was the key point of inspiration that one day you said, this is where I'm at. I think this is something I should share with the world. Can you share with us how that evolved?
Oh, clearly. I'm a very competitive person, and I love to win. And I'm just wondering, why is this happening? What's going on? And when I got that analogy reminding me about the butterfly, that's when I said, oh, okay. And I'm seeing this. And then when I found the Epilepsy Foundation, how they're showing me 95% of this world is unaware of the 40 types of seizures. And I'm like, what? So that's why people are all in shock when they see me walking around and having a sleepwalk seizure. They're like, oh, I didn't know about that. And I see how I simply need to get more people aware and informed of this. And that's how poor people would be open-minded, because it motivated me when I saw how HIV and AIDS has gotten the word out. Most people are very aware. They say 90% of this country is very aware of HIV and AIDS, where only 0.0% of America has it, versus 1% of America having epilepsy, and 95% of this country has no clue about the 40 types of seizures. So I am very captivated, as I'm competitive, to share how there are 40 types, and mine is complex partial.
Are professionals, Afi, aware of how to deal with this issue of epilepsy? And as you described to our audience, there's all different kinds. So is it possible, and are you interested in writing a book and explaining that people would be interested in that?
I already wrote my book, and of course, I have my book, Living Free With Epilepsy, and there are 5 steps, because that's the whole point of the Epilepsy Foundation, just getting people informed of the 5 steps, because, of course, the neurologists, they are aware, but all the other folks are not aware. Neurologists and iridologists, they can tell you versus everybody else. And the simple 5 steps because most people need to be aware that when they see a seizure, if it's 5 minutes or under, it is not an emergency. So do not call 911. They are not emergencies. And number one, you look for your watch and you check out the person and see how much time it's taking. Number two, you're going to sit the person down, make sure that they're in a safe atmosphere, a safe spot. And if they are falling, you're going to put something on their head, on their soft, make sure their head is in a safe area. Where I would be walking, they would make sure I wouldn't be running into the middle of the street. Number three, you can ask the person the detailed question, because apparently people can answer in their subconscious mind. They can say a yes or a no answer. But just go ahead and give them a detailed question. What did you eat for breakfast? What did you make last week? So they can hold a conversation. And when they're back to the consciousness, that's when they'll be talking to you. And then number four, you're just going to stick with them and tell them what just happened. So that's why we have to get folks aware of what's happening and just know that they're going to help people out tremendously and not, scare them off and act like they're not going to accept them. Because people are not getting accepted in the society from this. That's why people are holding it into their heart and not saying anything, because they see how people would not accept them and how companies quickly will throw you away. And several companies have given me an interview. I had a seizure while I was in the lobby. And, we'll call you back tomorrow. They get me out of there and will not talk to me again.
So you're telling me that there's a lot of biases against people with epilepsy.
Clearly, because especially if they're unaware of the different types, like what the heck is going on? They call 911, and I thought she was just high. I don't know what the heck is going on. And they're worried.
Right.
And that's why we all tend to wear our medical ID bracelets. And I even got some of the firemen, that's so pretty. I didn't think that was a medical ID bracelet. I thought you just had a nice bracelet on. The medical ID tells me my name, and on the other side, it gives you the emergency contact. And so you don't need to call 911. There's the emergency contact right there.
Right.
Wow.
You mentioned a word, and the word was nutrition. Does food play a part in enhancing or just even decreasing epilepsy episodes? Because in various different diseases, nutrition plays a very big part. Is that the same for you?
Not for me, because that's what I'm saying, but it's very different. Because for me, I have done all of that research. I have been a vegan for 5 years. I stay away from sugar. I drink over a gallon of water a day. It has nothing to do with my food, and that's what's different. But I told you I wrote my book. Living Free with Epilepsy has the story of Socrates, Harriett Tubman, Julius Caesar, Flojo, all having the epilepsy, where they never fell down and shook one time either. And the Prince, Socrates, and Julius Caesar were having it when they were 3 years old. So that's when they were able to take medicine, and that was helping them in those things Prince more, because Socrates and Julius Caesar are older times, so they didn't even know what it was back then. Long and short, it's a wide range. So some people do have to look out for some of the vegetables. Some of them are what's the thing, not attractive, but it doesn't work with their body. Versus me, I've tried everything, and food has not been any angle. It doesn't help me at all. It doesn't affect it. That's why the doctors are still trying to figure out why I'm even having one.
What role does hereditary play in it?
That's the thing. That's why they said Socrates and Prince, since they were 3, it was still going in their family, versus me being the first person on both sides of the family to have it. And as I'm a part of the Epilepsy Foundation, the other gentleman over there, it was just his mom and everything had it. It's different reasons. But Harriett Tubman, she didn't have a seizure until she got raped. When they had that brain issue, that's when she started getting her simple partial seizures. But because it's all about your brain.
You're saying essentially that it might have an influence of stress that causes it.
Well, stress in some angles, but yes, it's all about the brain, because it was when she got Harriett Tubman was having that big injury in her brain. That's why it was bringing that tissue on, where, like you said, some people get the stress. But stress, again, is a different one. A lot of us meditate, and it doesn't bring on. But other people who have taken medicine have been able to have theirs controlled. So medicine could work for a lot of people, because of my friends over there in the Epilepsy Foundation, somebody has not had a seizure in 3 years. And this other lady, she actually did the surgery that I'm looking to do. She did her surgery and hasn't had a seizure in 25 years. So I'm looking forward to that, when they can just go inside your brain and figure out the tissue that's happening and what exactly is the reason.
Is stem cell one of the realities of helping to decrease epilepsy?
Again, it's a wide range. So some people have that stem cell. It's been able to help for some people. It hasn't touched for me. It hasn't worked on that. But because even the CBD, I'm taking some of the CBD down. It has decreased the amount of seizures that I have. It just apparently I'm trying to see about the exact formula or the exact system, because as I have increased more of the CBD that I'm taking, that's the medical marijuana, it's actually helping me. So I'm trying to see about how to operate that a little bit better, as I have respect how it's decreased the number of seizures I've had.
Wow. You know, Rosalind, I'm curious what you think about this. She just mentioned medical marijuana, and it hasn't been a long time that we see different states that allow it. As a person who's really a professor who's done a lot of research and a lot of writing and a lot of teaching, do you think that every state should make it legal to have medical marijuana?
Well, I think when you talk about the marijuana that we have in today's world, there's some really interesting stories I'd like to let the people know about. And it's really frightening. I mean, a lot of people say, it's a boom for the economy. It gives these new jobs. But when you talk about, using my age and your age and Afi's age, when we were growing up, there was the marijuana that was around when we were young. And we're looking at what we're seeing right now. And I've heard about research and heard people talk very concerned. We're talking about a different grain and a different type. And the severe consequences that are going ahead and they're seeing early on from young people going out and using this is really harming the brain and the ability to think and process information, because it's a different type and a different form. And yet there's all sorts of companies and organizations. I was at an event in Cleveland, Ohio, and I met a lady in the lobby who came in late one night, and her whole business is all about that. And so it's a double-edged sword. I mean, there's people like Afi that goes ahead and, talks about the virtues and the values of it. There's people who have diseases like emphysema, and it helps give them that clarity and so on and so forth. But there's also the current of the abuse that it's at each and every corner, and people can get in for almost nothing. And so it makes it a real challenge. Who do you make it available, and who do you cut it off from, and how do you decide and how do you determine? There's always winners and losers.
Yes. Yeah, that's right. How do you determine? Because we would love to see people who have all these diseases like epilepsy just being one among thousands of others. We'd like to see them stay healthy.
Right.
Because right? And as far as I'm concerned, there are ways in which we can really control things, and education is one of the best ways. Now, I always like to give my guests the last word. So what do you have to say, Afi, to the public that are listening to our show?
To staying healthy, they need to clearly just operate and see how their body goes. Because as we all see how we're different people, as food and everything can work one way with other folks, where I told you how food hasn't worked with me in terms of the change of it. But when you're still balancing everything, it's critical. So just invest in yourself by staying and doing all the natural ways, as I have gotten into the habit of stopping all those negative foods. I don't do chips. Baby carrots are my natural. And all the positive results come as you are investing in yourself and you see how much stronger you are and how much you're using your mind. So if you can motivate everybody to start operating their minds and speaking into existence what they're looking for, as I have gained tremendously and I am much stronger and have so much more energy, and I've never been high or drunk once. It's all in your mind, and you can speak. Because I am very energized, and people are always captivated in seeing that. But I'm telling folks that, hello, it's all in your brain. Choose to feel good and speak it out loud. I am a healed person, and as you are expecting it and knowing it, greater things come to you.
I believe that.
Wow.
And Roz, you know, I'm interested in knowing what you have to say as well, because you're a very intelligent woman, and I'm so happy that you're my co-host, because I think that there's so many things that you can ask her as well. So let's finish up on something that you want to, you know, kind of have her close out, because she's got so much, oh, my God, inspiration to others, I'm sure.
I think that, you know, what she's really talking about is absolutely amazing. We all set up limitations of things we can and can't do by the things that we go ahead and say. And if we set our minds for what we want to do, we go out there and we make them happen, we realize that life goes ahead and offers us the setbacks. The setbacks can bring us down, or we can go ahead and set them forward to help us to better understand the world. We all need to open up our eyes and see that every day is truly a blessing. The sun rises, the sun sets. There's going to be challenges along the way. But as long as you know that we're only here for a limited time and we have to do the best we can each and every day, I mean, that's truly what's most important. I think that's what Afi has gone ahead and shared with us is the world throws you cranberries, make cranberry juice.
Or what else? I mean, that's a great way to finish the show. It's like making lemons into lemonade, and I think that you've given us the ideas and the thoughts and the way in which we have to think each and every day. So I want to thank Afi for being on our show, and of course I want to have my co-host do this again with me because she's amazing. So Rosalind Kahn, it's a pleasure to have you both on my show.
Well, thank you so very much. I really appreciate it, Susan, and I'm glad that Afi was able to help us in a bind, and that's what friends are about. You give them the call, and they come through in flying colors. God bless you both.
Same to you.
Thanks a lot, and make sure people are aware of my website, afibell.com. If more details are there, and epilepsy has to be well known. Let's get the word out.
You got it. And Roz, why don't you give them your information as well, so that after this particular show, if they want to get in touch with you, how do they do that?
Certainly. My webpage is rosalindkahn.com. You can find me on LinkedIn and get my own webpage, and I thank you so very much.
Okay. It's been a pleasure, and thank you very much.
Thank you for listening to The Susan Brender Show. To be a guest, email sebrender@yahoo.com.